David du Plessis is no stranger to adventure. He's cycled the African continent and navigated his way down the Amazon River. Now he's going to paddle a customized boat from Cape Town to Brazil. He sits down with me today and he's going to tell us how this epic adventure came about. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in. I'm actually really excited to hear about this adventure because it makes me think you're a crazy person.
Yeah, I think crazy is relative. I mean, my definition of crazy is being stuck up in an office for the rest of my life, so I don't perceive it as crazy.
So you probably think I'm crazy.
I do a little bit, so.
All right, so you are quite the extreme adventurer. Like I said in my intro, you've cycled the African continent, you've navigated down the Amazon River. When did you realize you had such an adventurous spirit?
To be honest, I'm not that adventurous. I'm actually quite an introvert. I prefer reading. The adventure is more platform. I use it as a form of activism, and also because it's a great way to carry a message. Otherwise, if you don't have something that's entertaining, very often messages just get lost into the ether. So it's not because I'm adventurous. I don't call myself an adventurer, to be honest. I think I've been branded that because of what I've done, but I'm very, very anti that adventure lifestyle. I don't like conquering nature. I'm a raw vegan, so I don't go and eat anything exotic. I just eat fruit. Yeah.
It's interesting that you're such an introvert, and like you said, you prefer reading, you don't like to conquer nature, but you found yourself in these, what would seem to be very extreme situations. And you say it's for activism. Now, what kind of activism and what issues do you hope to shed light on?
Well, I mean, each adventure's been about something different, but I mean, I'd say it all started when I was about 21, so about 7 years ago. I changed my whole life. You ever heard that expression from Gandhi, the quote, "Be the change you wish to see in the world"?
Yeah.
So I decided at 21 to change my life. I looked at how we impact nature, how we treat each other, how we treat ourselves. It led to me becoming vegan, stopped drinking. I mean, I never really did drugs, but I essentially wanted to embody this change that I desperately think the world needs. And I did that, and I was living like that, and I still live like that, but I got to a point where I didn't feel like it was enough. I felt like, you've only really impacted yourself. That's one person. And then the opportunity to cycle Africa, it was just such a chance opportunity. I was sitting at a breakfast table and I heard one girl talking to another girl saying how her brother's planning to cycle Africa. I didn't know the brother, but I'm like, well, that sounds pretty interesting. And I then got the number from the brother's number. SMS the guy, his name was Ricky. I said, "Ricky, can I join you on this trip?" He said, "Yes, it'd be nice to have you." And obviously we established a relationship from then on. But there we worked for Habitat for Humanity, and we got to see a lot of the housing issues in Africa. And by the end of the 4-month journey of cycling, we managed to get a house built for a family in Tanzania, well completed. And it was the first time in my life where I felt like I'd actually done something tangible for someone else. And that's where I realized this is the opportunity that adventure provides, because up until that point I really just been living for myself. Then the Amazon became the next expedition, and that was dedicated to empowerment, because when I cycled through Africa I got very despondent with the work done by charities. If there's no empowerment tied into the charity initiative, you essentially create beggars, and I looked at Africa. We cycled 10,000 kilometers, and you see all the work by the UN, World Vision, Oxfam, and there's no polite way, so I'm just to be honest, but I just looked at them like, what are you guys doing? You guys are driving into these poor townships or these poor areas in the brand new Land Rovers. I'm like, where is the money actually going? And a lot of the time I felt that these charities their work was more to entice the donor. It wasn't about the people. So if they could show a nice picture with, some people in Africa with a basin and a toilet, even if they didn't want it or need it, it would entice more donations. I got very despondent, and I realized that with charity or any work, there has to be empowerment tied into it. So when I went to the Amazon, I wanted this empowerment drive for the environment, where I wanted to say that we're all responsible. We all live on this earth ship, and we all have a responsibility. And I worked with an environmental organization there that they tracked species in the area because it's called Adventurers and Scientists for Conservation. And because us adventurers go to the most remote parts of the world, they use us to track whatever species they get.
Now, this next trip you're going on, what issues do you hope to highlight? What do you hope people take away from your next adventure?
Well, I'm going to be honest, it's not a happy story, and I don't have a positive message to share. It's the reality. I think it's a sobering reality, but this next adventure is all dedicated to mass extinction. We're living in a period of history known as the 6th mass extinction. So, a quick biology lesson or history lesson. There's been 5 previous mass extinctions in the history of life. So the dinosaurs, that was the 5th. And all of those 5 previous extinctions were all caused by cataclysmic events like meteors and supervolcanoes. Never has there been a species that was driving the mass extinction of other species until now. We've entered a period known as the 6th mass extinction, and for the first time ever, one species is driving the extinction of other species, and it's us. And I mean, when you look at the numbers, I'll give you conservative estimates. We're looking at losing about 35 species per day. We throw our hands up in the air about the rhinos, but what about the 35? And that's conservative. Some biologists are saying we're losing almost about 100 species per day.
Wow.
Current predictions are that by the end of the century, we're looking at a 50% reduction in all biodiversity. I mean, I think the numbers are so big that we can't comprehend it. And the solutions are so multifaceted. It's not like just one charity is going to, we can't just dump it all on WWF and think that their initiatives are going to work. It's not like that, because we're all responsible. And my hope is that this is the sobering reminder that just tells us to wake up. We're destroying this planet at unprecedented rates, and we just don't care. Even the environmental movement, the guys who do care, all they care about is like carbon dioxide and methane and nitrous oxide. I'm like, what makes Earth special is the life. Environmentalism should be about life, but we don't. So again, I don't have a positive message. There's not much we can do. My hope is that we push this agenda to the forefront of all world agendas, because to me it's the biggest thing. When you start to wipe out species at the rates that we're doing, the ripple effects are huge. And I mean, we depend on nature. Our climate is a buffer from all the biodiverse relationships. Our food comes from animals we breathe because of trees and pollination. We are animals, and we're dependent on the same systems that we're just devastating.